Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking. This is Darwin's Choice. Darwin's Choice is a card game in which each person is going to be trying to create the best possible critters, the best possible animals, and put them into environments in which they are going to thrive and hopefully be dominant in those locations. Other players obviously will try to make critters that will be better than the ones that you have, and also it's quite possible that they'll make critters that will eat your critters and destroy them, and so of course then you won't be able to be dominant and get points and what have you. As the game progresses, you will like change the creature that you have. You'll mutate it, you'll add things to it, you'll add like different feet to it, or like tails or wings or whatever. You'll also move it to different environments when the environments will actually change and be altered for you. And it's a challenging game. Mostly because the game kind of works against you a little bit, with like some events that happen, and also like the changing environments. But also the other players are constantly going to be vying for being the better, animal, the better creature, and trying to like I said, try to eat your creations as well. So let me show you how the game is played. It's pretty cool. The artwork is amazing, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, let's learn how to play Darwin's Choice. Now, I have gone ahead and set up the game. This is a 4-player game. I'm not going to walk through each and every turn, but I'm going to give you a good idea of how the mechanics work and how you're going to create your animals, like as I said, and maybe hopefully keep them alive and earn as many points as you possibly can as you progress them through the different eras. And then eventually the game will be over, and whoever has the most points will win. Each one of these cards is a different vegetation zone. There's a deck of them that's right there. At the end of each era, a certain number of these vegetation zones will be changed, meaning that what might have been a desert will turn into an ocean, meaning that the animals that you place there to be safe in that desert won't really work in that spot, so you'll need to either move them out of there or mutate them so they can stay where they are. At the end of for a 4-player game, at the end of the first era, you do it for 2, and then at the end of the second era it's 3, and the third era is 3. So you will be changing that up, and the second, especially the last 2 phases, you replace 3 of the 4 that are out there. Just looking at one of these, I just want to show you what they say. So it tells you what it is. It's the tundra. It says right here, it's worth 2 points if you have the animal that is best suited for that area. It provides 7 plant food. It provides 5 meat food. Obviously, herbivores and omnivores will eat the plants. If there is not enough plants, the omnivores will eat meat. Carnivores will just eat the meat, and if there isn't enough meat, they will actually eat the other animals, the other herbivores and omnivores that are in that location. So, you can have a situation where it isn't so much that your animal that you create no longer fits in the spot you have, but they actually get devoured by even your own or other players' animals. The middle thing here, each person will get one of these cards, and it'll kind of tell you the different icons and what they mean. That is like cold resistance. And what that means is that the animals that have the most cold resistance will be best suited for this tundra. And then over here it tells you that you have to have at least 1 cold resistance stat on your animal that you create, and you can't have any heat resistance. In contrast, actually, we can go ahead and we can look at this desert. You can see it has 4 plant and 3 meat. It need heat resistance as the for you to be adaptation to or have the adaptability to that area. You need at least 2 heat resistance to be able to be there, and you can't have any cold resistance. So polar bears couldn't stay there, but camels and what have you can be. Just to show you, here we have the wetland. You can see it provides a lot of food. It says right here for the adaptions, so here we have that's swimming, and this is running. And so you would have 2 different stats that you would use to determine how well you fit. But over here, this is what I wanted to show you, like the swimming and the running. There's a little hashtag in there. You don't have to have both of them. You just have to have one. You have to have at least one swimming or one running so you can stay in the wetland area. And I might as well just show you the ocean. Lots of food in the ocean, right? And obviously you need swimming. And you need at least 2 swimming to be able to be in the ocean. All right, so those are set up, and then each one, the tokens off to the side are the different food that each spot provides. The reason you put that out there is as people are going to create animals and place them in those spots, you will actually put the food necessary to them, and it's just a good way for people to tell if there's going to be enough food left for them. All right, so the way the game works is at the beginning of the game, each person's going to draw, and they're going to get 10 cards in their hand. There are these larger cards here and these smaller cards here. And you can have as many of them of either size as you want. This is going to be the different bodies of the thing. I might as well just draw one to show you. So like here's like the African elephant. And the African elephant, it has, look, you can see it has a swimming, located on it. Notice how it has no feet. It's just the body of an African elephant. It has no head. It has no tail. But you can see where you could place those particular spots. And you can tell because there's these docking points. These aren't snowflakes. So it has a docking point for a head. It has a docking point for possible wings, and so on and so forth in the different locations on the card. This one will tell you this tells you that it needs at least, this part is going to tell you that you need at least one food. One food of whatever, after you put the head on it, it's going to create. And the more hearts you have, the more food is going to have, your creation is going to need. These 2 trophies is the competitive strength of this animal. Competitive strength is important because it is going to have a lot to do with keeping your critter alive, and also making sure that it kind of stays on top. Carnivores can't eat what they can't beat. So if this was a herbivore and you had a lot of competitive strength, a lot of different animals that would be carnivores, if they couldn't beat its competitive strength, wouldn't be able to consume it and destroy it. All right, so I'm just gonna draw. I'm just gonna draw like 3-4 of these. And the thing is, when you draw your 10, you're allowed to draw them one at a time, like just 1, 2, and so on and so forth as you draw the cards. And you do that around the table, and until you have 10. The rules state you can do it however you want, but the best way to handle it is make sure when you draw from the small cards, because these are the cards that are the heads of the animal that you're going to be having, get like 2 or 3 heads before you start drawing these. And then after that, you can kind of just pick and choose how you want. Now, a couple of things. Not the first turn of the game, but later on, you're going to, whatever you build, whatever cards you put out and create your animals with, you'll draw back up to 10, during your turn, towards the end of your turn. You will also, the first action will allow you to discard up to 9 of the cards that are in your hand, and then redraw back. So you do have a lot of chances to, if the cards you get aren't good, you can change things up and alter them and whatever. All right, so let's just see what we got here. So I have an African elephant. I have a dromedary. So like obviously a camel, which would be really good in that desert over there. Here we have the common ostrich. Notice how I don't have to, like, this has, like, basically a spot for the head, because it already has the feet and stuff like that. Jaguar, again, has the feet that we have. And then a Bengal tiger. So these are pretty cool. I mean, these aren't bad at all. So let's see what we got with this. I got my greater roadrunner. That's kind of cool. Southern screamer, white shark, emperor penguin, and an eastern white-bearded wildebeest. Well, okay, so I have white shark. I actually think that's pretty cool. So, alright, so we have the white shark, has a ton of competitive, it has a ton of swimming, and it has it's a carnivore. And you can tell these two say it's going to have at least 2, it's going to need at least 2 meat, to eat. So, you don't have to, finish off an animal.
like this is a completely fine animal. You could create this and just, and later on you could add feet and tails and whatever, to it, to make it into more of what it is. But this would be a completely fine thing that obviously would fit wonderful in that ocean over there. Lots of competitive strength and all kinds of things you could do. But regardless, I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit. So after everybody has all their cards, then you're going to determine the first player, whoever you're going to determine the first player. And then if it isn't the first era, that's when you're going to be able to discard some of these cards and redraw if you so desire. It also is going to be, where you're going to probably be looking at how the vegetation zones have changed and whether or not you need to start altering the animals that you've already created and how you're going to make them so they fit into those situations and those areas better. But I'll get more into that when I get into the process of the changing of the vegetation zones. So now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your actions. And there's basically three things you can do. You can build, you can mutate, and you can migrate. Now, and I should mention, I apologize. After you do your card redrawing, you discard, and once again, you don't do this, but you are allowed to trade with other players. So other players and you can talk to them and you can say, I really need a herbivore, head or something like that. And so if they said that and I had this one and I was willing to trade it, I could say, okay, well, and this isn't secret. You don't hide it and say, well, I have a pretty good one. No, you actually show them, this is what I got. It's pretty straightforward. It's got competitive strength though. What do you got in exchange? Well, what do you want? Well, maybe I want some like a cool different legs or whatever. But you can discuss that with all the players. You can all figure out exactly what you want to trade, and it doesn't have to be 1 for 1. You could trade 3 cards for 1 or whatever you want to do. But you have a trading phase where you get to do that, and that's after you redraw. All right. So then you're going to go on to your action phase, and that's when you're going to build, you're going to mutate, or you're going to migrate. All right, so in the beginning, obviously, you can only build. Right? And when it's your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to take the different pieces that you have, and you are going to try to build up something that you think is going to work, for that particular spot. So looking at my cards, let's see what I can make here. All right, so I'm actually just going to move this guy down a little bit just because I want to focus on this wetlands area over here. So let's say I wanted to make this big huge African elephant with jaguar legs and a white shark head, and this obviously this crazy animal, and I'm going to place it in the wetlands, and like I said, you normally wouldn't play on this small of an area. This is just for the video. So when I place that on there, it is a carnivore, but now look how adaptable this is. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 adaptability for this area because of the fact that I matched up with all of those stats. And it's going to eat 1, 2, 3, 4 meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 to show that I'm eating it. Nom, nom, nom. And I'm going to take that 1 like this, and I'm going to replace this 2 with another 1. Now what I've done there is I kind of made it, because the animals they get to eat first are the ones that are most adaptable to that particular spot. So if somebody else wanted to place a carnivore there, it's going to be really, really tough for them because of the fact that there isn't going to be a lot of meat left over unless somebody happens to put a herbivore in that spot. Now, after you get done creating it, you put a chit down that's for your animal, and turn it over to after you build, you turn it over to a check side. Now, when you turn it to the check side, that basically means that you've taken your turn with that particular animal in that particular turn. So you don't take multiple turns of it, because you're going to be building more than just one animal. And you're going to have more of them out there. You're going to have multiple animals in the same zones, and you're going to have them, multiple ones, because you want to get it's the total points you earn overall. All right, so and that, like I said, would be the finished creation of that. Now, I could have, if I'd wanted to, I could have actually added, my wings if I wanted to. Notice how, like, the Southern Screamer, I could have put those, right there to add these little wings to the design. But I didn't want to do that because it's got the 2 flying on it, and I don't need flying for that spot. I wanted to hold on to that card until maybe I would use it in a different zone that is going to be looking for a flying creature. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you, because what happens is each person's going to build a different animal, right? And what's going to happen is that each zone is going to have to determine some sort of contention as far as the best adaptability, and also possibly if there isn't enough food to go around, people's animals getting eaten. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just grab some cards here, and I'm going to create a secondary animal in the wetlands to show how this works. All right, I did move 2 of the I moved the ocean and the tundra off just so I could show you having a couple of different animals in each one of these locations. So I went ahead and I made a green sea turtle head with Komodo dragon body and Nile crocodile tail. And so this is actually a pretty good one for this location because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, it comes close to greater adaptability than, I might as well just put player colors on here as well because they were created, right? So it comes close to the adaptability the other one has, but unfortunately it does not beat it out. But still it's a pretty good design, and it will survive because it only takes 1 food and of the food that was available. So we'll go ahead and I should say no, it eats 2 food, so 1, 2 like that, because it has the 2 hearts. Now if the herbivores ever get eaten, they provide the same amount of food as they eat. So if this turtle, dragon, crocodile creation here ever got eaten for whatever reason by a carnivore, it would provide 2 food for that carnivore. All right, so over here we have the African elephant on the fennec fox body, and it has 1, 2, 3 of the heat resistance available, so we can stay in that location. It is highly competitive, so it's probably not going to be eaten very much, and since it has 3 compared to the 2 that the ostrich has, it is more adaptable. It has 2 hearts on there, so it's going to eat 2 of the food that is available. So we will place one of these on there to show that it is eating 2 of the vegetation that is located. And finally, we have this Indian cobra head, the common ostrich, with the greater roadrunner. Now this is kind of neat. We actually have a 5 competitive, so this could actually possibly eat the African elephant because it has more competitive strength. However, it doesn't have to yet because it's eating 2 of the meat that are available, and there's still 4 available. So I'm right now everything is kind of in balance and nobody has to worry about it, but these would be creatures that could possibly be created. Now, after everybody's done building and creating, and I'll talk about migrating and mutating here in just a little bit, I want to actually go through an event phase and showing how things change, and I want to show you how the vegetation zones change. But if you survive the food phase, each creation gets a point. So you just go ahead and give them each a Darwin point. Now you don't take these as the owner of that particular creature. You don't get to take them off of their animal. The points will continue to grow. Plus, you do need Darwin points to be able to mutate, do a double mutation, something I'll talk about here in just a little bit. But so you leave them on there. It should be noted that if your creation goes extinct, you only are going to get 1 point for them. Everything else you lose. So, try to keep your animals alive for as long as possible, hopefully, to the end of the game, so you can get all the points that they gain for you as the game progresses. All right, so we've gone ahead and got through the food phase of the turn, and now we can move towards wrapping up the era. So now we're going to check the adaptiveness. And we've already determined who has the most adaptiveness in both of these locations. Both the African elephant / fennec fox has more, and the African elephant / white shark / jaguar have more. So they're going to get the points that those spots are worth. So this is worth 3 and that's worth 2. So we're going to go ahead and give the fox those. We're going to go ahead and give the African elephant those. And that is the reward for being the most adaptive in that spot. However, you can earn the competitive strength bonus as well. So whoever's got the most competitive strength will get first place. Second most get second place, and then third gets third place. So we have competitive strength down here of a lowly 1. So I mean, whereas this is good, very adaptive, it isn't very competitive. This creation has 7 to 4 to 5. So in this situation, what will happen is that you have these trophy markers. So you're going to go ahead and you'll give, because it has the most competitive strength, this has the next most, and the African elephant here will get the bronze trophy. So you hand those out. So even if you don't have the most adaptability, you can still get your competitive strength can be high, and you can get that trophy for having the most competitive strength. It should be noted that if your creature has a 0 competitive strength, but if it's like there's 3 creatures out there total, and you have one with 0, it can't get third place. You don't get any points at all with 0 competitive strength. Alright, so now you're going to go ahead, and this is when you're going to have an event. So you're going to draw one of these event cards, and lots of different events happen. But here we have low meat supply. During the next era, the food supply is set at 8 and 3, with the exception of deserts, polar deserts, and high mountains. So we're going to be down to 3 food in this particular spot. 3 meat, which is not good news for the green sea turtle. Notice the desert won't get affected, so we don't have to worry about that. But that is not a good event if you were the green sea turtle, Komodo dragon, Nile crocodile combination. You don't want, so the white shark is going to, because of the fact that, remember, it consumes 4 total meat, but there's only going to be 3 available in that spot. And so if we don't mutate this or get it to another spot, it's going to get eaten. And that's where the migrate action takes place. But, anyway, before we do that, though, then we're going to go ahead and to have to determine where the vegetation zones are going to happen. So, what happens, like I said, with the 4-player game, we're going to replace 2 of them. You draw the new vegetation zone, and you have the semi-desert. And then, and I don't have the 3rd and the 4th one available, but we'll just, show you this in a second. You draw one of these cards. Now, I suppose if you had a 6-sided or whatever, and this, in larger number of games, more than 4 players, you would actually have 1 through 5. You'd have 5 zones out there. You take the token out and the card with the 5 on it out in a 4-player game. So this one says 3. So we would take, and the 3, if you remember correctly, was the ocean. So in this situation, the ocean would become the semi-desert, and so you would just replace those. And so you can see the semi-desert. You only a little more food than normal desert, but still pretty much kind of the same. This does not speak as to good news to the green sea turtle, because I was thinking maybe the green sea turtle could have run off into the ocean because it had enough swim, but now it's not looking good for them. Anyway, so then for the next one, let's see what we get here. Also not looking good for the... Well, it can actually get here to tropical rainforest, because you just need to be able to run, and so you could probably pull that off, and it has run ability. So that's not so bad, but let's see where it goes. And you're going to draw another one, and so actually we're going to replace the desert with it. So that's going to be actually devastating for the animals up there, because of the fact that they were... Oh, you know what? Actually, I just realized something, and I was going to actually mention this, and I forgot about it. Remember when I said that, it's possible that this could possibly eat this? It couldn't, actually. I'm going to actually show you this. So you'll notice that this little shovel is right there. There are some animals that are going to have, the shovel, meaning they can dig, and it can dig below the ground. And when it digs below the ground, then it can't be eaten by carnivores. So this would. There's also ones that will be that'll have a thing that has like a little beaker that shows like it's poisonous. And so that means that animals won't, carnivores won't eat it either because it is poisonous and they won't do it. But anyway, so you have a situation now where the desert's gone, and so these creatures are going to make sure, like, they could probably still be there, but the adaptability obviously is going to change possibly because you've created creatures that are designed to survive in a desert, not a tropical rainforest. And so you're going to have to take some time to either mutate them on your turn or move them to another spot where they're more adaptable. Now, after that is done, what you do is you take these and you flip them over, like so, and you would go through the process of, you would return all of the food chips and change. And remember, we're under a drought or low meat supply, so that desert wasn't affected, but now it's only going to have 3 meat available. So depending upon, that might actually affect things now because we've actually removed the desert. So regardless, the ones that you change the food that's available, and also then you change the adaptability. If the adaptability has changed, so like just quickly looking at it, climbing, flying, or running. You have to have 1, and so we have 2 running here and 2 running here. So it looks like right now they're both the same. However, if they are equal, then you go to competitive strength. And so competitive strength is actually going to be greater for the Indian cobra. So it looks like the Indian cobra is actually going to take out the top dog spot in the tropical rainforest. And maybe the person who is running the fennec fox / African elephant is going to want to move them out of there so they can go someplace else and earn points. So after you're done with that, you've replaced the vegetation zones, and you flipped over each one of those tokens to show that it's time for those things to go. Then you are going to add your drawback up to 10, depending upon the cards you had. And then you're going to go, whoever was the first player that turn, the start player shifts to the left. And then you're going to do the whole thing over again. You're going to discard and draw, you're going to trade, and then you're going to take your actions. I showed you build. So migrating is just moving it. You're going to move your creature from one spot to another. And then you're going to change whatever has the most adaptation to that. You'll monkey with, just like as we've done already. But you're going to do that for the new spot. Mutation is you're either going to remove something. So like mutation, you could like remove the legs off something. You could add something to it. So like remember I was talking about how this one doesn't have a tail. Like you could add like a beaver tail to it. You could add the thing, or you can do like an exchange. So if like you didn't like that beaver tail, you could do like a rattlesnake tail, and then you can remove one and exchange one. You can do up to 2 different changes, but if you do that, you have to pay 3 Darwin points to do a double mutation. So that is the other action. Alright, so that's how you play the game. After you've gone through 4 eras, you're going to total up the total number of points that you either have on the animals that you have out there, or like you're going to the animals that are extinct and the picture points Darwin points you collected for those, you're going to put those and have those in your hand, and then whoever has the most points after 4 eras is going to win. This is a fantastic game on so many different levels. I really like evolution games. I like creation games. I like games that allow me to kind of monkey with things and do what I want. But I also really like the thinkiness of this one, and how you have to be on your toes and all changing. And it's weird, and people might not believe me here, but I got a definite kind of dominant species light feeling when I played this. And I'll talk more about that in my final thoughts.
Darwin's choice. Okay, there you go. I made a comment about it kind of feeling like dominant species. Now, dominant species, I did a review for that a long, long time ago. And if you've never heard of or played dominant species, it's a really, really good game. Very, very involved area control Euro. It was made by, and is made by, GMT Games, which is a company that is mostly known for their war game portfolio. But this is like a really, really good Euro, and it is part of their like strategy game selection. It was a game designed by Chad Jensen. And it is perennially going to be always probably be in my top 10 games of all time. It's very dense, it's very difficult, and the game kind of works against you as far as the environment's changing, as well as the other players are working against you. And that is kind of, in a nutshell, a lot of the reasons why I kind of felt like this was a lighter version of that. One problem with a game like Dominant Species is that it does take several hours to complete, and convincing players to divest that much time into it, a little bit difficult. It's a little bit tough to convince people to get that rolling or whatever. But I miss the feel of that kind of game, and I was really pleasantly surprised when Darwin's Choice actually made me feel like that. Now, are the games alike? Really? No, not really. But I mean, the theme is the same sort of, the kind of thing, and there's some things about it that are that you can draw parallels. But as far as mechanisms and things go, no, they're two separate entities. But a lot of times for me, games that I enjoy, it's the feel I get when I play it that stands out for me. Like that's the enjoyment, and it could be because of the theme. It could be the mechanisms. It could be just the way it sets up the puzzle that I have to solve in order to be successful in the game. But any of those things can lead me to like evoking a certain emotion or a feeling when I play it, and so. That is a big reason why I really enjoyed this. Now, if I'd never played Dominant Species before, I still would really, really, really enjoy this. There's so much about this game that is just fantastic. It's fun to kind of grow your creature. I mean, it's just that's just something that's fun. I can't remember the name of the computer game, and I'm sure somebody will chime in here at some point and post a comment. But there was a computer game that was a real-time strategy game that was about evolving. You would send your guy out, and he would shoot a dart into an animal and extract the DNA, and then you'd be able to use that DNA to put 2-3 things together, and then create an animal out of it. And I for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. It was a long time ago. But that kind of, there's all kinds of games like this, these evolution type games, and so what we have is always that what if it went this way? What if it went that way? What if it changed? What if instead of what if sharks did grow legs and crawl out onto beaches and storm into the forests and what have you? And it's kind of fun to see that. Now, and so it's fun to kind of grow your creature. It's fun to try to get that creature to stay alive. And then you can kind of see, other players can tell, they can see the points, piling on one of your animals that you've created. And they know that if they can get that animal to go extinct, you're going to lose a ton of points if that happens. So you start trying to protect that animal and start trying to make sure that other people don't step in and beat it down, if you will. And you got to try to make sure that you migrate it to the right location, and you got to make sure you mutate it with the right different parts and what have you. The interesting thing about the game that I really liked, other than those things that I just mentioned, was that you only get one action per creature per turn. So timing comes into play a great deal, and I like games that have timing problems. So you might, mutate your creature in a certain environment, but then somebody will move into that environment that is more powerful. It has a better adaptation than you do, and so where you thought you had yourself set up to get points, all of a sudden now you're not. But you can't do anything about it because of the timing of the situation. Or worse yet, somebody migrates one of their creatures into a location where they're putting your animal at risk of being devoured. So there's things like that you have to watch out for, and I do like that timing aspect as well. There's an added bonus that I hadn't actually planned on. And I had this game set up on my table, and I was goofing around with it, and I walked away from it over. I came back, and my son had taken these cards, and he had created creatures with them. He was taking like this frog and putting a monkey head on it, and he thought it was just hilarious, and he was just having a ton of fun with it. Now, I would not expect my son to grasp this game because he's 6, but to see him playing this and having a blast and really enjoying it did a lot. And so that's kind of cool that it has that aspect as well. Now, obviously, I don't know if the creators of the game had planned on my son in kindergarten having fun with it in that beyond the game type of way, but lo and behold, it did that, which I think is super cool as well. Remember I mentioned poison? That's that little poison beaker there. You can see there on the tree frog. But anyway, so the game is challenging. It's fun. Great artwork, thematic, all the things that I'm looking for in a game where I am up against both the puzzle of the game, but also the puzzle of outdoing the other people that are at the table. And it is just a challenging good time, and like I said, it evokes that feel of a game that I really, really love, which is always going to be a bonus. So there you go. That is Darwin's Choice. If you have any questions about the game, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. If you have any comments about other Evolution games, or if you know that game that I was talking about, as far as the old real-time strategy game, post that. I'd really appreciate it, because I suppose I could Google it, but I don't know. I'll forget about it because I got another video to do after this. But regardless, thank you very much. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the subscriptions and what have you. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.